Alright guys, here's the gear for day 3 of Austere August 2025, and we're going to be using the same stuff. Taj handled Semogue Owners Club boar brush. It's been soaking for several minutes in water. Let's get it back in there. Get those bristles all absorbing the water. Here's the count sheet. Use number 578 578 is today's count. Timeless open comb stainless steel 68 gap stainless steel razor. It's already got the blade in there. Chisel face Midnight Stag for the soap splash and cologne, as I am doing the Midnight Stag challenge. Drop that. Trying to hold everything in a presentation way sometimes means you're not gripping it firmly. I'm getting old fingers maybe. Show you the blade. Now I wonder if I move it close and my hands are really wide here, does if I tap on the screen right where the blade is, will it focus on that? I don't think that's a good distance. I think that's too. There we go. That looks like that might be giving us some good resolution if we look at it at the right angle there. Same blade I've been using. Oh, and then I need to untap that little focus point on the screen. There we go. This is the knurled handle, and I really like it. It does feel almost too aggressive when I'm holding it when it's dry, but when hands are wet, it feels perfectly fine. Very strange. It just does. And then, of course, it's not going to let go of you when it's even soapy and wet, so it's very nice. But it does catch on things like microfiber, products, because it's just that knurled. All right, now, what has happened since the last shave? What has changed in anything that we did? We did a slurry lather last time. I was in a hurry. I was in a hurry because I was super tired. What has happened is that water from that shave got put into the surface of this soap. Some of it would have evaporated during the shave. Some of it's still in there. And so the soap is actually the only item that is changed from the previous shave. Sure, there may be some blade wear, but it's going to be super small from one shave to another, generally. And sure, the tips of the brush maybe have changed a little bit, especially since I'm using the hair dryer on it after each shave. But the big change is going to be a higher water content in the top surface of this soap. And that means even if I did the same exact process as yesterday, I would end up picking a little bit more soap up out of this in the loading process. And that's something to consider as if you're using the same soap over and over. You may try it one day and realize that, oh, this was the perfect amount of loading. That was 25 seconds of loading, or 30 swirls, or something like that. That was just exactly right. Well, if you do it the next day, if you've loaded with a wet brush, then you've added some water to the soap, and so that same exact number that was perfect the previous day, it may give you more soap the next day. So you have to kind of wait till everything equalizes before you record that funny number. And it's odd, and that's in a way that's an art. That shows you that there's an art to it, because even if you change soaps from day to day, in a sense that's more consistent. If the soap hasn't been used in a year, hasn't been used in a month, then maybe more water has evaporated. Maybe that could be more consistent. However, if you really use the same one every day, you will, in terms of how much loading you need, it will decrease, but then it'll start to level out. and eventually you'll hit that point where it already has as much water in it that you're not going to be contributing any more to it. It's not going to absorb anymore. And so that amount of loading will be locked in for a good amount of time. Get my face wet. Another reason why I'm doing these marathons is just to convey that hope for those guys out there who are in less than ideal financial situations and they maybe don't have access to a lot of different blade types, but if they can order even an expensive blade from some online retailer, or if maybe they're expensive at their local store because maybe they're hard to get in whatever country they're in or city or whatever, there's some hope there, because if you can get your technique really good, that you're able to make such good use out of that blade that instead of just 3 uses out of a blade, maybe that blade could even cost you $1. But what if all of a sudden, instead of 3 uses out of it, you got 30 uses? And so that could really make a difference in some people's lives. And so I hope that that message gets out to people who can use it and that can be helped by that. All right. So here we go. Let's do some loading. Last time I did, I think, 15 swirls and then about 10 swirls. Let's do 30 swirls this time. Also, I'm going to remember, didn't quite have enough water in my brush last time to get that third shave to still have as much water as I wanted, third pass rather. So let's make 2 changes. We're going to do a 5 seconds more of a load. In a sense, there's 3 changes if you're paying attention. The soap is wetter. That's the first change. Then I'm going to increase my load time by just a little bit. That's why I'm not increasing it a lot, because this has changed. And then the third one is I'm going to try to have more water in the brush than I did yesterday. So let's do that. There's that stream coming out like we had. I'm just going to shake it that much. That's all. It could still, see, it'll still drip if I hold it at just the right angle. Just kind of wait until, try to get it to a point where that stops. Okay, there we go. Let's try that. So 30 swirls. 1, 2, 10, 20, 30. All right. I'm going to let the excess froth drip into the bowl here. And another thing is, in terms, it goes right along with economy of the blade use. This method does not use very much soap. You don't have to have a lot of soap. As a matter of fact, my normal bowl lathering method only uses 0.4 grams. There's a lot of guys out there who are using 2 grams of soap per shave. And that's because their face lathers and a lot of the waste goes down the tubes with that first pass, you know. So we do not see a lot of froth on this brush right here, do we? All right, so let's see what happens. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, no, I did put some water on my cheeks, on my face. I'm going to keep it just tips only at first, so that we don't dump the water out of the brush. You don't have to hold the brush under your face like I am. Oh yeah, see, already it didn't take too many swirls before we have that kind of early slurry develop, and we do not have to go very long with this. See right there, we're done. We can be done. It's up to you how long you go. But this is a method that's optimized for speed. Maybe that's another thing I should try this month is just stretch it out a little bit more and just see what happens with the lather. Maybe not make it about speed that time. Just see what happens. I mean, would I get to a mature lather a lot earlier in terms of the number of passes? Probably so. So maybe we'll do that. All right. Nacet, Gillette Nacet blade. can't remember what use it was that I noticed that the blade was changing in so much that it did not like it if I had not shaved the day before. You know, it did not like trying to take down more than one day of growth. It would just tug more. Not uncomfortable, but just, I mean, it wasn't really enjoyable. And so that's one of the reasons why I didn't use the blade as much in the off season, in the non-austere August, because I just wasn't shaving as much, and so it was harder to make sure that I had shaved the day before. Now, you can feel your skin as we put on this second pass of lather. Hopefully it will be a little bit more mature than the previous one. A little quick splash of water. Often you will not feel as much luxurious, slick, soapy stuff after that first pass. Here, I could stop right now if I wanted to. We just have so much water available to the soap that we loaded. And I think that's the secret. Instead of the normal face lathering method that's popular for years now of dry pasty, is what you deal with first, and then you add water. I'm not saying one way is better than the other. I'm just saying I like this way better. Just a preference thing. And this way is definitely faster. I'm not having to work that paste and then gradually add water to it. That kind of thing. Another thing we could do this month is just show you how quick this is and not have me do any narration. Just jump right into it. Not really try to break any speed records, but just to kind of show what an average time might look like. A little water. Now my face felt a little bit more slick after that second pass. It should. Because the lather is coming together and becoming more mature. So obviously this is going to be, that amount of loading is going to be plenty for a 3-pass shave, because this is the third pass. I've even still got some nice looking stuff that I can spread on my face. So we're in the stage where we've got a mature lather in the brush. Yeah, see, that's good looking stuff. So that 30 swirls, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was 2 years ago. I was developing the slurry lather method, and because it comes to the soap with a lot of water, see, we've still got standing water here on the soap. Because it does that, it makes the time you need to load less each time. And this method being so wet made that to quite a significant degree. Toward the end of the month, I got to where I was doing one swirl with, I think that was the time when I was using this. This is that more bore. This is a Zenith B13, I think, normally. And the tips are very soft. And even then, it would require just a half a turn in the soap to have enough lather to be picked up because it was so wet and soft. It was so funny, but true. Lather looks great. Oh, do I have a little weeper right there, or is that a mole? I don't know. We'll see. It might be a little bit of a weeper because there it looked like there was some darkness behind it, more so than just the color of the skin. This is kind of that old school, I think, coconut oil kind of soap that I've discussed a few times on the channel, well, quite a bit, where it makes it harder to find that great balancing point between lots of water in it to make it super slick, but also trying to keep it creamy and luxurious feeling. And so years ago when I first stumbled upon the Slurry lather method, this soap base here shone. It was the star of the show when I was trying out that method, because that luxury feeling that I'll probably get right now when I rinse. Yeah, see, when I put a little bit of water on my face here, oh, that is so slick. It's got a little bit of viscosity to it. It's protecting my skin. It just feels so good. I don't usually get that with this soap base. With a normal bowl lathering method even, I don't know what the deal is. It's mystifying to me. And so that's why I started really looking into the Slurry lather method, because it made such a difference in this particular soap. I think maybe one or two other soaps out there had such a big difference between the feel when it's a normal bowl lather versus a Slurry lather. But most of the soaps are not as big of a difference. They work out great either way. All right, so that was 3 passes, but since I have a blade that is very old, we're going to put on another pass. Last time the lather was mature, and so it continues to be mature now. Yeah, there was a little bit of standing water in my bowl here from the previous loading, you know, and the extra froth drainage and all that. Well, now that has all been incorporated into the lather that's in the brush. Painting strokes for the most part. Nice luxury feel on the lather at this point. A normal guy with a short-lived blade is not going to go this far, not going to need to. You can see the passes are pretty fast, which is why I think doing 5 of them to keep this blade going is reasonable, because it doesn't really extend the shave time very much. Light touch, as always. I'm listening to the cutting sound. I am feeling and adjusting. That's why I do short strokes, so that especially in the curvature in the neck, I can adjust. My hand can make microscopic adjustments as I feel that, hey, that one didn't catch anything. Let's open up the handle a little bit, reduce the blade angle, and bam, okay, now I feel that it caught some, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm listening for the sound, the feel of the razor, the blade on my skin, that sort of thing. Making constant adjustments there. And yeah, we've got a, you know, sometimes you can take a little bit from your goatee and use it in your pass if you're running low. And I think that's what we're going to do for today's shave. Let me get a good rinse now. If your technique is good, are you going to be able to make every single blade go 100 uses? I'm pretty sure no. Pretty sure there are a good many cheaper blades out there where the grind is just too narrow or fragile, and when that edge, when it breaks down and starts to dull, it's dulled in a way that you're not going to be like I am here with this Nacet, able to continue on with it. That's my guess. But my hope is that anyone who wants to be able to push a blade far can get that lather technique, because we value slickness and a little bit of that luxurious creaminess for protection on the skin surface. And then also the when it's really slick like that, then it's not thick and keeping the razor away from the skin. And so it's letting it be on the skin, and so it's making those nice cuts right at the level of the skin. And then the technique with the razor in terms of a light touch, not really pressing in on the skin, if at all, just use enough pressure to keep the blade on the surface of your skin, and that's all. If you're talking about the vertical, then yes, that phrase, let the razor's weight do the work, that does apply. But once you start doing a curve in, a curve under, then that flies out, right? You can't let the razor's weight do the work. You have to make sure that that razor is just kind of barely skimming the surface of your skin, and that will, I think, give less wear, produce less wear on the razor's edge, on the blade's edge. I also believe that a lower blade angle, a smaller blade angle, is critical, and maybe that's one of the things that this Timeless is good at. As you can see, it bends the blade down like that. The Fatip razors would let me go for a very long time with this blade as well. They had allowed me to have a nice small blade angle as I was shaving. Well, I think we're in good shape. Let me now give the blade, give the brush a good rinse. Here's how the brush looks after a rinse and a towel stropping. And then here's how it looks after the hairdryer treatment. Just a few minutes, blowing the air across. The tips are not crispy. I can still feel that they've definitely got some moisture still right at the surface there. The edge hairs that you get right at the beginning when you do this kind of stroke, those are the ones I think that are going to split first. I think those receive more agitation, and then the ones in the core, in the center, seem to split later. I could be wrong about that. What I think is really neat is that boars are very interesting. Right now, the tips have some firmness, and I can feel it with my hands as I move it across the surface. Now, if I sit this down, all that moisture that's in the bristles right here will capillary effect, right? It will come up and even out the distribution in the bristles. And so like an hour from now, these tips will actually feel more soft. It's really interesting. Then, as that moisture evaporates, then hours and hours from now, they will go back to being dry and like a broom. Boar bristles are just so interesting, the way they kind of transform. All right, time to use the aftershave. Got some sting in there. That's all right. We'll wait on for this fragrance in just a minute. So there we go. This is now how much moisture is left on the soap that did not evaporate during the shave. I'm fine with just leaving that in there because I want to preserve that scent. Other people who are more concerned about that moisture developing bacteria, would leave this maybe even partly off, maybe even all the way open. That's your prerogative, wherever you feel good in terms of that. Soap is a really hard place for bacteria to grow anyway, and so I am very comfortable leaving even this amount of moisture in it, especially with the soap that you're using every day, which is what we're doing in this case. All right, give it a little bit of space right there. A final rinse and a shake. And we'll let it sit. When I'm doing it consecutively, I don't even usually take it out of the razor, except to show you guys. Did not need to use any of the extra water, so what I left in the brush that time, 4 nice passes of lather, maybe 5, I can't remember, but it worked well. So very happy with that. So I made a slight adjustment, couple of slight adjustments. I extended my load number of swirls by 5 more swirls. I also made sure that there was a little bit more water in the brush this time. That ended up to be pretty much a perfect slurry lather. It lasted as far as I needed. About that 3rd pass is where I achieved that nice homogenation of the lather. But pass 1 and 2 were still super slick, tons of moisture, and that's kind of the way a slurry lather shave usually goes. All right, guys. So tomorrow, if I just start shaving without doing too much talking, if I remember to do it, it's because we're going to look at the clock and see how long it takes, if I'm not trying to narrate at the same time, how long a slurry lather shave might be for, other guys who are not YouTube people. There we go. That's the shave for today. I'm still got a little bit of the burning sensation because of that menthol on the splash. Oh, and let's not forget to go ahead and do the cologne. Matter of fact, look at that. I might need to... that's going to last me till the end of the month for sure. But I probably should get some on the way to me anyway, because I know that whenever this runs out, whether it's this year or next year, I will want to have more. And I do not believe I've said it this year. Now's a good time. Often the cologne, the EDP, is the best picture of the scent, the way the designer wants it to be. And really, in the case of the Midnight Stag here from Chiseled Face, it has these wonderful notes that don't appear in the aftershave splash, and they don't appear in the soap, because both those mediums mask the true scent a little bit. Soap, of course, because there's just a lot of solid product there. But even the liquid nature of the aftershave here, it's got menthol in it. And so that masks so many nuances of the scent. There's this like a wooden scent that I don't get nearly as much in the other formats. So if you like a scent, if you think you might like a scent, but you hear people tell you that there's more to it with the EDP, and they're probably telling you the truth. That, my friends, is it for today's shave. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shave. Good night.